lost a town resident, actually just yesterday, Karen Patootie, who lives on Sweet Road. So if we could have a moment of silence for her. Thank you. Just for the people that are here that might want to be heard on either public comment or on the public hearing on cannabis, there are 2 sign-in sheets right up next to our Tim Protesky. So if you want to be heard or comment on anything, please come up and sign in on those. That way we'll pass them up at the proper times and don't, yeah, go ahead, Debbie. Because I was going to say
now.
that's fine. Whenever. So we're going to start with the bookkeeper's report and hopefully keep this agenda moving tonight.
Okay, so I think everybody's got a copy of it in front of them. On the back page of the receipts and disbursements, another good month for town clerk fees, $3,800. Our court fines are starting to improve. We're at about 58% of budget at this point. A few other small refund from our workers' comp carrier, subdivision deposit, and then our charter communications came in just about where we'd expect it. We're at about 75% year to date. So as long as the next one comes in, we should be right on budget. Under the highway fund, we did have a couple of driveway permits, and we did receive our reimbursement for our first CHIP submission. The $60,598 match is what we had submitted to the state for that. On the expenditure side, pretty much a normal month. Highway expenditures a little bit higher. Most of that was for CHIP's work. So that one was no surprise to us. We're getting those roads paved. As far as the big picture in the main report, our general spending without the SOTs included is about 65%. We're right at 100% of our highway fund spending is at about 58%, and our revenue there is about 97%. So once we get the reimbursement for CHIPS funding last month, that'll come in December. We should be well over 100% because we have a pretty significant jump in our CHIPS funding this year. Other than that, bank reconciliation. Oh, do you want to go ahead on the supervisor's report?
I'll make a motion to accept the monthly report of the supervisor.
I'll second it.
Ann made a motion and Sheila seconded it. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, and it looked to me like all the bank reconciliations have been around for the supervisor, the town clerk, and for the school tax collector.
I'll make a motion to accept the bank reconciliations for the supervisor, town clerk, and tax collector.
Second. Carl seconded it. Ann made the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
We probably want to hold off on the payment of bills till later, I would think, since you still have some to sign.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't get to the highway ones yet.
Yep, well, they just came in, so. So I think I already covered, I already covered the year-to-date spending. I wanted to let the board know that we have moved our budget from tentative to preliminary. We've scheduled a public hearing for October 28th at 6:30 p.m. Highlights are the fact that we are under the tax cap, and we are currently looking at $2.66 per thousand assessed value, which is the same as we're at for the 2021 budget. So we're looking at a level budget there from that standpoint. Some of the other special districts, of course, there's changes in, but I'm not going to go through all those. Those are all part of the budget. It wasn't on the list, but I did have a transfer sheet for you. I should be there in your pile. Because New York State increased the CHIPS, the Pave New York, and the extreme winter recovery amounts from last year to this year. And they also rolled forward the 20% on all 3 of those that they withheld from us last year. We need to move from the surplus of the receivable on that into the capital outlay. So $174,000 more than we had budgeted. As you recall, we budgeted the base CHIPS level from one year to the next. So we didn't budget for the extra 20% or the other 2 funding sources. On the,
Go ahead.
yep, on the general fund, just a few minor changes there. Most of them have to do with the Onondaga County claim of $5,000 that we approved last meeting. And then we took the surplus from a couple of weeks where our previous highway superintendent wasn't in office until BR was in office, and we're going to move that to the equipment and contractual under superintendent of highways. That's to cover the cost of a new computer and printer. And the rest of them are just tiny little things. And then on the special drainage, we had to move a couple of some of the surplus into the active accounts for a couple of the special districts. So we would need a motion for those transfers.
So moved.
Second.
I made a motion and seconded it. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Opposed, motion carried.
I think that's it for me.
So the next item on the agenda is the public hearing on our local law to opt out of allowing cannabis dispensaries and on-site consumption lounges in the town of Pompey. What I'd like to do, sort of laid out in the agenda. The agenda's over there if anybody wants a copy of it on the table there. Is have Tim do a very brief, because we've done this a number of times now, summary of what the provisions of the marijuana regulation, MRTA, it's known as, Act, allows the town to have any say in, because most of it, the town has no say because it relates to personal consumption or growing, etc. But there are a couple of areas. So I would like to turn that over to Tim. Sorry, where Tom went, Tim. And then I'll do a brief history of how we got to where we are today. And then we'll open up the public hearing.
Yeah, so the MRTA was passed, I think, on March 30th of this year. It was signed by, it was actually signed by Governor Cuomo on that day. And it legalizes marijuana in New York State. So possession and consumption of marijuana for personal use would be legal. And it also sets up a structure for which marijuana can be sold in New York State at a dispensary, which would be licensed by a board that is yet to be created. I think they just started naming some people to that board. But that is going to be in place by the first of the year, hopefully. And in order to sell marijuana in New York State, you have to be licensed. The other option is to allow what's called on-site consumption. It would be to have places where you can go and you can buy marijuana, however you do, either smoking it or that's probably the only way I would know for them to do it, but to smoke the marijuana at a lounge or some kind of on-site consumption facility. The state of New York has authorized towns and villages and cities to opt out of that type of facility, both the dispensing of marijuana at facilities, at businesses, and the on-site consumption facilities. You haven't, the towns or municipalities have until December 31st of this year to opt out. If you opt out, you can opt back in over the course of time if you determine that you want to allow both either on-site consumption or dispensaries. And but if you don't opt out by the end of this year, then you can never opt out. So that's what the law says. This bill or this local law that is before the town board tonight actually opts out of both dispensaries and out of the on-site consumption. So there would not be those types of facilities in the town of Pompey after the first of the year. Even if one got licensed, you wouldn't be able to get licensed in the town of Pompey. There have been several public meetings that we've had. Tonight is the opportunity for the public to discuss specifically this local law at the public hearing. So that's what this local law does. It opts out. And as the supervisor said, this doesn't affect an individual's ability to smoke marijuana at their house. Frankly, it doesn't, or at any place that you can smoke cigarettes. You can still smoke marijuana. You just wouldn't be able to sell it here in the town, or you wouldn't be able to go to a business and smoke it. Anybody have any questions for me on that?
Before. So back in April, just to give a history for how we got to the public hearing, we first started our discussion about MRTA. The law was passed on March 31st. And Tim gave us a brief understanding of it then. We had some handouts for the board to get us educated on it. And then in May, we decided we really needed a plan. So we started discussing options on how we would gather information and be able to share that with the public so we can educate the public on what we can and cannot do. And we talked about having informational sessions. So in June, we did decide to hold informational sessions, but we decided to make it one big informational session here at the town hall with virtual capabilities at the July 7th board meeting. But because that was a Wednesday, we did have a discussion about it, and we had several people weigh in, both here live and virtually. But because it was a Wednesday and we were concerned that maybe enough people didn't know about it, we had another informational session in August at the August board meeting. And after that informational session, it was the decision of the board to ask our attorney for the town to craft a local law where we would opt out of allowing dispensaries and on-site consumption lounges in the town of Pompey. Seemed to be not just the general consensus, but the pretty overwhelming consensus from the public that people don't want them. So there were a couple people that did for the revenue reasons, but most people did not. So Tim needing to draft the local law, we bumped to October 4th because we needed to schedule, we needed to see the resolution scheduling the public hearing. All legalese, all process, but in any event, we've dotted all our I's, crossed our T's, and we're now here for a public hearing on the issue of the local law proposing that we opt out of allowing these types of facilities in our town. So I just want to set a couple rules. We do, as I said, we do have sign in up here for the hearing for cannabis. Veronica will control comments on probably Zoom at this point because Facebook is down today. I don't know if anybody else has noticed that. I didn't, but apparently it is. And then I will monitor in-person comments here, allowing those. If I just ask, if you agree with somebody else's opinion, you can say that in your own words, but I would hope we don't need to hear it all over again. And also, I would ask that if you've already spoken, let's make sure everybody gets a turn before you, if you want to speak again. I don't have a problem with that, but I just want to make sure everybody gets a chance to be heard. So with that, I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll make a motion.
We need to waive the reading of the
Yes,
local law,
well, reading of the public notice.
the public notice. excuse me.
I'll make a motion that we waive the reading of the public notice.
Second. Ann made the motions, Judy seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. And now a motion to open the public hearing?
I'll make a motion, we open the public hearing.
Second.
Whoever.
It's Ann or Carl and Judy seconded it. And Sheila and I are just looking at each other. We're out of here, right, Sheila? Anyway, so with that said, and I will start with those here present.
So we only have one person signed up to speak on
Okay.
the public hearing. That's Griner. And I'm not sure if Deborah wants to speak on this one or on public comment.
Opting out, that's great.
Oh, you're good. Okay. Anybody else want to be heard on this?
I agree
Just-
with opting out, and I want to say thank you, as town residents.
You need to just tell us your name and the street you live on.
Brittany, Hamilton Road.
Okay.
I'm gonna write it down. It's Brittany.
Yes.
You mind giving your last name? Hamilton Road.
Yes.
Okay, so any comments? Anybody else? Okay, any comments on Zoom?
No.
Okay. I would just add that I had an opportunity to speak to Dan Palladino, who runs Heritage Hill Brew House. He is opposed to them as well. He runs a family-oriented establishment and is not interested in having on-site consumption of pot at his establishment. I think I think the only place he allows people to smoke is out front, in front of the building. So I would think that that's the only place that if you're gonna go there and want to smoke pot, you're gonna be able to do that. But just want to put that out there too, as a business owner. He's not in favor of on-site lounges. Anything else, Veronica? No. This would be too easy.
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah, anybody want to make a motion to close the public hearing?
Close the public hearing. Second.
Sorry, Carl, Ann did beat you then. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. So our next order of business would be to consider a vote, if we're ready to vote on
Yes.
the passage of this local law. Does everybody feel?
Definitely.
Okay, so I would make a motion to approve, pass this local law. And I don't know
What
if
number
we have
is
a
it?
number on it yet.
Or
Number 4, 2021.
2021.
Four.
Yeah. Which is entitled a local law to opt out of allowing marijuana dispensaries and on-site consumption businesses in the town of Pompey.
I'll second it.
Okay, and Sheila seconded it. Any other discussion? Can we do a roll call?
Yeah.
Nikki, please?
Supervisor Rotundo,
Yes.
Counselor Christmas.
Yes.
Counselor McInerney.
Yes.
Counselor Larkin. Yes. Counselor Dennis.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Nikki, because it is subject to permissive referendum, we will be filing this right away with the Secretary of State. We will wait for the 30 days to expire, I believe, but when I can talk about that. So this local law is subject to permissive referendum, meaning that within 45 days of tonight, somebody can pass a petition to Pompey, and if 10% of the people who voted in the last gubernatorial election signed that petition, this would go up for referendum,
Which means the voters would choose.
which means the voter would choose, not this year. It would probably be no.
I would just, it's just fortuitous that we had our meeting tonight because once the office of the governor changed from Cuomo to Hochul in September, the Cannabis Control Board they actually chose their members. There was a log jam prior to that between the governor's office and the legislature, but since then, that log jam has passed and they have got their 5 board members and they are actually meeting tomorrow for the first time, and you can zoom in if you want to know what's going on. You can go to the Office of Cannabis Management, which is has its own website, and it has an agenda for tomorrow's meeting, and you will be able to keep track. You can sign up for emails if you're interested to keep track of what's going on with licensing. The licensing process will maybe be addressed tomorrow night because it hasn't started yet and they haven't set any fees for what it's gonna cost to get licenses for the various things that you can get licenses for. But if anybody is interested, it just so happens that they've started the process, so.
About time.
Yeah. Yeah, it is good. Okay, moving on, clerk's report.
Yes, the only thing I have is if the board has had the chance to review my September 1st regular meeting minutes, I'm looking for a motion to approve.
So move for approval of 9/21.
Second.
Carl approved, Carl moved and Ann seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Thank you.
Judy, do you want to just tell people what this is down here?
Yes,
As well as what else you've been doing?
I've been working on all the signs with the help of Nancy Abbott and Pompey. She's an amazing job at all these signs for the entering the town of Pompey. And BR's crew is working on getting the posts ready so we can put the new signs up, which should be soon. And then we had the new sign right here in the center that you will see. And it's going to be put up right up in here, this area right here. So that, as soon as I get them all finished, I will let you know.
Very good.
I just want to say it looks really good with the paint job.
Doesn't it?
It really
It's beautiful. You should leave it down there.
I know.
And that paint job was not a professional job.
It is.
Because
Just
Ralph
looks so
Betty and I
good.
spent one
Beautiful.
Saturday doing this. but
Thanks
it
for
was
rectifying
wonderful.
It needs it. It's beautiful.
Yeah. It
The
was
sign will be really nice when it's hanging
Yeah.
out. It'll be really pretty.
For the judges too.
Yeah, for
It'll
the
be very
judges.
Official looking.
Very professional.
So Sheila, I don't know if you want to say anything about, we're working on this?
Yeah, we are currently, Renee, Veronica, myself, Nikki, and Ann are working on the social media policy. We'll make some changes and updating, and we'll get back with that. Basically, it's just a protection. You know, any business needs a social media policy, and being a town, all the other towns have them, and we don't have one yet. And it's just a good idea to put something forward. It can be changed in the future. It's just eventually you'll get to read it. And yeah, we're working on it.
Yeah.
So,
It will not only determine what we as a town would put out there for town business on our Facebook page, but also what we will tolerate from the public as far as comments. There'll be some guidelines about comments. So I appreciate all of the work we're doing on our technology piece. Somebody has to know that. Okay. I just don't want to skip over Carl and anything for either one of you. You got anything, Carl?
No.
Okay. So old business. I don't know, and Tim, I think Nikki and I also drafted a disposition of property policy because this town has not had one. And it has caused problems in the past with people not following practices that then just somehow became controversial. So we've got a disposition of property policy draft that I've shared with Tom Chartrand, and I know I think I don't know if I gave it to you, but I don't think it's not ready for prime time anyway, because Nikki and I need to get together. I want to make sure I understand what her requirements as the keeper of the records are. But also we have a supply room full of what I would consider obsolete equipment, and we need to start figuring out how to dispose of it so we can make room for things that we do need to store in there. So I think that we'll bump that till next month and hopefully be able to do it then. Board members, I gave you, there's a one sheet two-sided of a proposal for replacing all the lights in the town hall with LED lighting, which will be an energy cost saver and also be both an energy and a cost saver. The total, the project cost that is just under $3,000, but with the National Grid incentives, it drops down to $2,046 and change. And we have a quote, I mean, that's what the quote is. John Sheehan's been working on this. If you're listening, John, thank you so much. You keep us honest when it comes to clean energy. I would, we need one quote. If it's, there he comes. I want to make sure I'm saying this.
I'm ready.
One quote for a $3,000. It's Public Works.
Yes,
Okay. Well, it's 5,000.
5,000.
Okay, but
Yeah.
one quote, if it's underneath 5,000. So John is proposing that we accept this proposal and move forward with replacing the lights here and getting rid of the flies that are up in these lights.
Need a motion? I'll make
I
a
need a
motion.
motion to
To
authorize me
authorize
to
you to sign
sign.
it.
I
Yes.
second it.
Okay, so Ann made a motion, Judy seconded. Any questions, any discussion?
Great.
All those in
Good idea.
favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Thank you, board. As far as new business goes, I'm looking for authorization to rehire Rodriguez to our codes office at the rate that he was working at, which for this year,
$32.
$32 an hour. And I would entertain a motion from the board
I make a motion.
that we rehire
I
Bob.
second
Rehire
it.
Bob Rodriguez.
Okay, whoever. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I cannot thank you enough, Bob and
Yeah.
Leslie, for taking this back on and helping us out. So appreciated. So for those on Zoom, they're here, so I'm thanking them personally. The cleaning service did go down to the highway garage offices. Took a look, because there's been no real cleaning of those offices, no one responsible, let's put it that way, to have them cleaned, but PR would like to start having those offices cleaned on a monthly basis, but the first cleaning would be a pretty extensive one because it hasn't been done. So there's quite a bit of dust and the glass needs cleaning and things like that. But so I would ask the board to authorize me to expand the cleaning contract we have with Done Best Cleaning to include a cleaning of the highway garage at $120 a month, but the first cleaning would be $240.
I'll make a motion to authorize to add highway offices to the
Second.
cleaning service contract.
Thanks, Sheila, and Ann seconded it.
Yep.
Any
I
discussion?
think it's good.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Your offices shall be clean.
Be there this Thursday?
I think so. I'm
I
gonna
think it
talk to her.
is,
I told her I could not authorize it. I couldn't tell her to do it
Yep.
until we had the board meeting.
Have it, but I don't have
So
it.
I will talk to her. You know. Okay. We're actually so much earlier than I thought we would be, because we had no clue how long the cannabis public hearing would take. So we are at the point where, and John Rubinski is here. He has provided, you know what, I never said anything about you being here.
But Dave,
How
I mean, how could we
rude
forget
of me.
That's fine.
Our county legislator.
I think we gotta
Dave
put you
Mapp has
on the
been sitting in the front
paper.
row here and never said boo. Sorry. Dave.
Last but never
Anyway,
least.
yeah, I know, really.
the
I got
handsomest.
something at the end or after.
Okay, good. Anyway, John has made a request of us relating to, he was here July, sometime in the summer, and we decided to put this off because the legislature hadn't acted yet on this. But there is a law or a regulation that's been passed with the DEC correct me if I'm wrong about this, that will extend deer hunting season in the southern region through the Christmas holiday. And John is here to address that issue with the town and ask us to support his position.
You ready for me?
I'm ready for you, but
Well, okay. So very quickly, I do have a couple more handouts. I've got,
these are all the handouts he's given us so far.
yeah, we've got lots of handouts, no shortage. So I've got one handout, which is called biological and other shortcomings regarding the holiday hunt. I got a lot of this information from,
Is this a new one? We haven't, this
This
wasn't
is
in
a
the
new
packet
one.
you gave us?
yeah, 'cause I was waiting on some, I don't know if I have enough for everybody, but
We can share.
okay.
Here.
I was waiting on some deer biologist people to get back to me. They were very hesitant because a lot of them work for the DEC and they didn't want their name attached to this. But there's a bunch of them that just don't like the idea, so.
So John, just so the public understands, you're here because you want us to oppose this holiday hunt
Yeah,
for the town of Pompey.
From December 26th to January 1st.
Yes,
and
and the only way you can do it is if the county opts out.
no, there's other
Oh,
ways
there's
too.
other ways.
Yeah, there's,
Okay.
there's becoming lots of ways, actually. So this is a resolution that I created.
Oh, you upgraded.
Yeah. And I took out some of the, I changed some of the language because it weighed heavily on the snowmobiler's shoulders because it was originally, I think, from maybe one of their guys. And they took out the word snowmobiling to put all other user groups pretty much because it really isn't really, it's more accurate this way. It's not really fair just to put all the weight on the snowmobile club's shoulders because this is really a community issue. It's about everyone in the community. It's not just about snowmobiling. I don't snowmobile, I don't own a snowmobile. You know, I'm actually a very avid deer hunter.
You know what? I was just, oh, there you go. We got him in the picture now.
Okay.
There you go.
So I'm a very avid deer hunter. So that's kind of what got me spurred in because I'm talking to all my friends. Nobody wanted this. And I've got, every day I got more and more deer hunting groups sending me letters of supporting what I'm doing here. They don't want the holiday hunt. And, you know, just to rehash it quickly, is the DEC, someone in the DEC high up in Albany wanted to hunt on his paid holiday. He gets the holiday week off paid. So he's the one that started this. And he skipped a real important part of the process is the human dimension studies. And it's more important than a lot of the biological studies, especially when it probably comes to deer and stuff. So they just kind of ramped this through. Now there's people all across the state that say, hey, we don't want this. And they
What's the study called? Human what?
human dimension studies, they usually farm all that out to Cornell. Cornell usually does all the human dimension studies. So they skipped all that. So now they're getting a lot of pushback. So the commissioner of DC realized like, hey, this is really upsetting a lot of people. So we're going to let counties opt out and maybe even local municipalities. So he's got a regulation in the books right now for public comment to allow counties to opt out. And we've got some other people that asked to refine that opt-out regulation because it's not what he originally said it was going to be. It changed a little bit. So we're in the works of doing that. So we'll probably see that regulation smoothed out just a little bit. And we got some other people saying that, you know, and this isn't anything new actually in wildlife management. All across the state. Niagara County's got some places that opt out of traditional deer management, as we know across New York State. Monroe County, which is over by Rochester, is another one. Westchester County, Suffolk County, Nassau County. This, just to name a few, and the Adirondacks actually have opted out of some different things legislatively when it comes to deer hunting. So it's nothing really new in the state. It happens time to time when, you know, certain regions of the state have different user needs maybe, or whatever the case may be. But this really affects us, as we know, when deer hunting season goes on, everything shuts down outside. Nobody goes in the woods walking their dog. There's no horseback riding. The snowmobile trails are closed. It really hinders all the user groups. And from all the deer hunters, I'm sure there's a few people here or there that, you know, would like to hunt year round or whatever, but it hinders all the other user groups and all the rural landowners. It's not really a deer hunting issue. New York State already has twice as much deer hunting as a lot of states, like Wisconsin. We have 3 times more deer hunting allowed than Ohio and Pennsylvania for length. And we have more deer hunting than any other northern state. So, we have, starts October 1st and it ends generally and historically right before the Christmas break. That's actually 32 days after the third Saturday in November is when deer hunting season ends, which ends usually right around December 18th to 20th, maybe 22nd, depending on how the calendar falls. So extending it through the Christmas holidays when everyone's home and wants to be able to enjoy the outdoors is really the wrong thing to do. So I'm asking the town to opt out. And the resolution here, if you want me to read out loud or no?
You can.
Okay, it's pretty simplistic and it says, whereas it has come to the attention of the town of Pompey that the Department of Environmental Conservation, DEC, has proposed a special deer season from December 26th to January 1st called the Holiday Hunt for the entire southern zone of New York State. Whereas the town of Pompey is mostly a rural community, and whereas during the holiday break, many outdoor user groups, residents and from afar, enjoy the outdoors throughout the town. And whereas most outdoor recreation is on standby until after the end of deer season. And whereas this regulation will close the outdoors to many user groups the week of Christmas and New Year's, when much of Onondaga County has recreational snow. And whereas there are many small businesses supported and dependent on the holiday week activity of these outdoor user groups at their establishments, many of which were abruptly closed due to the virus, are only starting to get back on their feet. And whereas delaying the economic support that multiple outdoor user groups provide is unwarranted. And whereas New York State has one of the longest, most liberal deer seasons of all northern states, close to 12 weeks. And whereas the DEC states it doesn't need these additional days to manage deer populations. And whereas the need to protect rural economies, small businesses, residents, multiple outdoor user groups, and deer yards from special interest groups looking to expand the deer hunting season for a very small user group is unacceptable. Now therefore, be it resolved that the town of Pompey respectfully requests that the DEC let the town of Pompey opt out of the holiday hunt and recommend that the Onondaga County Legislature pass a law opting out Onondaga County and end the deer hunting season in Onondaga County on or before 32 days after the third Saturday in November. So, got your vote?
Well,
Any questions?
yeah, I do.
Yeah, okay.
Where does the DEC regs that are for public comment right now allow us to opt out, the town? I mean, I'm all about the rule of law. So if it's not in the law,
Well,
I'm
I-
uncomfortable taking that.
My state
step.
legislators
I
told
don't
me,
disagree with your position.
No, I
It's
know.
Clear.
it's clear, yeah, I understand your question. So right, this is part of a grassroots movement, so this is just one of the steps, getting different townships to opt out. It's just a position statement. And so I'm going to take that, helps other people like the county legislators make up their mind which way people want to go. And also it gives me other avenues to close the town of Pompey down to deer hunting during the holidays.
But if we don't have the authority from the state to opt out, which
You're
I
just-
understand we don't, how can we pass a resolution that says
You
we're
can-
opting out?
You can pass a resolution because it's a position statement. People do it all the time.
Request that the DEC let the town opt out. So we're asking them to let us opt out.
Yes, and I have someone that's going to make sure that we're opted out, so they say. So, but this is part of the process. They asked.
Wait a minute. That sounds a little sketchy.
So the last time, no one believed I had a regulation coming along. It came along, right? The regulation materialized. So I was talking to a lot of legislators today and actually the chairs of the NCON committee. And I don't think we're gonna have a problem.
Okay.
Yeah, but it doesn't opt us out. It's just a position statement saying the town of Pompey would like to opt out. That's all it is. And, it's about the residents here and the people that like to come here to enjoy it.
No, and if other counties are opting out, my concern is they're all gonna run to Pompey or the town or the places that haven't opted out to hunt during Christmas week. And
It's,
that would be one of my concerns. Plus, it's a holiday.
Right.
I'm
Most
sorry, but it's-
property is posted and
Yeah.
owned by
Yeah,
Well, our
Anyway.
property's posted too, and Katie has a story where we're walking on our posted property. We thought after the deer season last year, and, all of a sudden shooting, luckily we got behind a tree because they were very far away. Well, they happen to have some nuisance permits, which are year round, which is fine. We're not against that. It would be nice if they told us, but that's just what happens. We're not, when people walk, deer move. When deer move, people shoot at the deer, which means they're shooting right at you. And I've got a trajectory, a ballistic chart from company that does ballistics. I'll tell you later. And these muzzleloaders that we're gonna have during the holiday hunt, they're fishing up to 300 yards. Almost anybody can learn how to shoot up to 300 yards. You can get a better crafted one that shoots 500 to 1,000 yards. So this is the ballistic, the affected area by that sporting arm is 5,880 acres. So nobody lives on 5,880 acres. That's what you would need to control it. So if someone shoots over the horizon or you have a ricochet, whatever the case is, this thing will go well over a mile. And so it's not like we can just post off our property and say, there, we can go play, because it doesn't work that way,
so, John, I want to let the board, and I also want to let our attorney weigh in on this, because I've been talking to you, reading all of this, looking it up myself, so I'm pretty, and we've all had packets given to us. We did find them, the original ones, but we
Right.
also have the most recent one you gave us, so I want the board, but also Tim, and I don't know who wants to go first.
Can we have Tim first?
Well, yeah, I actually have a question. So if the regulation passes or the regulation changes and then provides an opt-out provision, that's what you're suggesting, right?
Well, we have a regulation to allow counties to opt out.
Right,
But we have other avenues to get townships to opt out.
okay. But that hasn't happened yet.
No, it's,
No, it hasn't happened yet. So if it does happen, what you do tonight, you'll have to do over again.
no, this goes in the other direction. For the next, I don't want to give away my game plan. So, but the whole thing is I need this to go to the next step. It goes in that direction.
Yeah, so essentially what he's asking for is a memorializing resolution that basically says, if in fact this happens, we would opt
We
out.
want to opt out, we would opt out.
Yes,
So does Tim have the resolution you just, read?
I have
Do you
one.
have an extra copy, just so he can look at it?
Yeah, and if there's anything that you need to change, you make it tighter, legal or whatever. I think it
is there like a time frame on this? Like when do you need to have it done?
Well, I'd like to have it in the next month would be great, would really be good.
Well, this board meets every month, so.
Okay, yeah, I would really like to have it if you could, please. We went to a deer hunting party in Casanova the other night. There wasn't a person, and it was busy. It wasn't Katie goes, listen, they're talking about how bad the holiday hunt is, what a bad idea. And sure, there wasn't a person in there. I don't know. I know there's gonna be a few somebody's here or there, but this is this.
Well, I mean, I've only seen we have only seen what you've submitted, and it's overwhelmingly opposed to it from a variety of groups, including the Farm Bureau, and what was I gonna say? There was another issue. Oh, and I did look at the comments, some of them, because there's a ton of them on the DEC website about the holiday hunt, and I have to say, I didn't see the scientific basis for extending the holiday hunt. I didn't. I looked. I was trying to figure out, why are they doing it? Why would they? There should be some basis for that, and there wasn't. They did respond to a lot of the questions and the concerns people had, but I didn't really see any of the responses include, we need this to cull herds, to control population, to whatever. So I'm just going to throw that out there. I wasn't seeing what you typically would want to see if they're pushing something like extending a hunting season. So that's just my 2 cents, but I want you guys to.
I spoke to many constituents regarding this.
Mhm.
And the first thing that they would say is it's not good for the deer.
Mhm.
And that most of them don't care. And then also it's about for myself, my first thought was, I like to go out with my family. I don't get a lot of time off during that time, but when I do and I come home early or during holiday time, and that's a holiday week, we walk every day. And so everybody has to wear orange, you know, hoping and praying. But most of the people that I spoke with, they're good by December 26th.
Yeah.
And
Right.
and many said it's not good for the deer. So that's just where I did research for you with the people in the town. And a majority of the people, and I spoke with about 25 people regarding, you know, whatever. I went to whoever I could that I know hunts and spoke with people. That's where I got. So I'm in favor
Thank you.
of what you're doing.
I am too, and I have neighbors too, and they're like, I would love to have it stopped, so I'm with you.
Yep.
Behind you.
There's no reason to extend it. It's nonsense.
I'm fine with it.
Stop down.
So how do we do a memorializing resolution?
This
Can we
is,
follow-
this is.
can we use this?
sufficient. You could just adopt this resolution,
All right.
give a copy of it to Nikki, and the resolution is, when it says, and the deer hunting season in Onondaga County on or before 32 days after the third Saturday in November, is that the law right now?
That's the law.
Okay, so you're not changing anything, you're just saying.
Okay.
It's just basically putting in our opinion
Yeah.
right now
Right.
because
It gets me to my
And
next
it
level.
and it does mention the Onondaga County and basically requesting that it's a local law too, so you should know that.
I almost hit Bambi and mommy tonight. OMG. Oh, it was so close. I'm like, oh my, you can opt out here.
The other thing that I was reading is that the bucks start losing their antlers, so they look like does, and so they get shot instead of.
That biological sheet I gave you tonight,
Yeah.
it explains all that. That all came from deer biologists. A lot of them worked for the DC or retired from the DC. None of them, I had to swear in the Bible not to ever mention their names because they don't want to be associated with this. But all there's a thing called the deer team in DC. They're all the deer biologists from all the different regions. They're the ones that run the deer program. They were left out of this. They're pissed. And this is all has to do with one person in Albany that wants to hunt on his, and he admits it. He doesn't even say, oh, that's not true. He admits it, goes, yeah, my deal. That's what he says.
Not gonna come to Pompey. and hunt
Yeah.
them, so.
So on our property.
So you can just move this and pass it if that's what the desire of the board.
Okay.
I'd like to make a resolution to opt out of the holiday hunt deer season.
Or to request that DEC allow.
Allow
As
John
set forth
Krasinski
in
to
the-
move forward.
I second it.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank
Motion
you.
carried.
Thank you, everybody.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you for all of the,
The materials.
Paperwork is an ongoing mission.
So I will draft a letter and send this along to the DEC.
Thank you.
Okay. I think that ends our meeting except for public comment. And I
Before-
think,
Before we do, there's one quick thing that Tom has brought to my attention. We have drafted, John Shaheen has drafted a RFP for HVAC work upgrades. And in order for this RFP to be issued, the town board would have to authorize to issue it. I don't think we have the date set for it yet. But
He was kind of waiting for the authorization to put the dates in.
okay. And this is for replacing the furnaces in the town hall with cost-effective, energy efficient, again, John's mantra, John Sheen's mantra, heat pumps,
And also high efficiency filters that will. remove-
COVID filters, yes.
Remove any germs.
And he has assured me that the ones that are that he's requesting in the RFP meet those standards, which would allow us to use stimulus money for that. So I I would make a motion to.
Authorize,
Wait a minute,
to authorize the issuance of an RFP
Okay,
for the work, for the scope of work that John has outlined in this document.
I make that motion.
So we want to read that document. Do we not? I'm not trying to hold it up, but did we?
Well, Go
It's
ahead.
been,
You know, you're
been
right.
vetted.
You can't read it
Yeah.
tonight because it's
Yeah.
relatively long. So,
pretty detailed. But if you want to read it, you can.
or if you want to.
But I don't, I hate to hold off on it only because we want to really get moving on
Going, yeah.
installing.
Or winter comes, but,
Okay.
Yeah, we got it this morning. Tim and I got it this morning.
Yeah,
Renee did.
same too.
Well, I had it a week ago, so I just held on to it for a week because I had to put some insurance requirements in there.
Whatever, it's just, I always feel like
I
it's
know
best
you wanna read.
practice to read
I agree.
everything that's put in front of me. So, yeah, okay.
Well, we also have, I mean, could we put this if we needed to?
No,
We can
go
do it on the
ahead.
public
Everybody
hearing
else is in
tonight.
agreement. I'm just one vote, so.
Why
it's
don't we
fine.
do that? Why don't we do it on the
That's what
public
I was
hearing
gonna
night?
say. Why don't we do it October
Hey,
28th?
but is that gonna put everybody out?
No, because
Mm,
we should have it in by November.
Yeah, because our public notice for the public hearing for the budget set and any other business comes before the board, I'm certain, so.
You could get it lined up, probably.
Yeah, as long as
You know,
there's
start it.
nobody who's saying, we don't want to do this.
Yeah, we wanna do it.
We just want
No,
to make sure we
I
review it,
just-
but John can get
Yeah.
everything set up between now and the public hearing and then we can
Yeah.
issue it that night.
I appreciate it.
No, and
That's smart,
that's fine. You always,
See, this is kind of like authorizing John to go out and get quotes for these units. We're not authorizing the purchase of any units. This is
Okay,
the specifications where he's taking these specifications out to bidders. And so he's trying to get a date, getting us to approve his set of specifications so we can go out and get a bid for it. This isn't to buy anything or approve any purchase.
okay,
It's just telling him,
yeah,
take your specifications, go get us some bids and bring them back to us so we can review them.
and then go ahead.
And then we'll put a provision in there that says if we don't like any of the bids or if any of the bids are too high, we can reissue it or we can reject any bids.
It's already in there. That
Okay.
that line's in there. It's one of the ones I look for.
Yeah.
just maybe for a little more comfort level for whoever, for Sheila, whoever. He worked very hard with, and John's an engineer and does RFPs in his, he used
Yeah.
to do them all the time, but he also worked very closely with Heat Smart, with their engineer to come up with this.
Okay,
So it was done by two very qualified individuals.
Yeah.
So,
I don't, John is amazing. I worked
yeah, I know.
alongside of him.
Well, you can hang on to that.
Okay, thank you.
Read through it, but all you're really doing is, like Tom said, authorizing him
Sure.
to go out and get those packages and then not to approve them, but
Okay.
to get the packages.
Okay,
So
Gotcha.
this way he'll be able to have the bids back for you maybe at the October or definitely at the November meeting.
yeah.
all right.
And then we'll act.
Then you could choose whether to accept them.
Thank you.
Okay.
So go ahead.
So I would make a motion to authorize the issuance of this RFP for heat pumps for the town hall to replace the furnaces here. Do I need to authorize John Sheehan?
No,
It's already in there.
Okay.
Second it.
Carly got beat out by Ann. All those in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed, motion carried.
I apologize for bringing that up.
No, that's fine. I'd rather have it get that underway.
Yeah, we're not really committing to anything at this
Yeah.
point.
Let's see what we get back. So now I think we're at public comment, and I
What about Dave
don't,
Mann?
what?
What about Dave? Mann?
Well, he's on the list.
Oh, okay.
You want to go first?
Sure, absolutely. Nope.
Okay.
Lead off with some good news. We went through a round of some town infrastructure programs. And I just wanted to let you know for planning purposes that we're able to secure $6,500 for the new water treatment system for the town hall here.
Wow.
$2,000 for the new hot water system in the town hall here. And then $16,500 for towards the roof of the salt shed.
Wonderful. Wow.
So a total of $25,000.
Very nice.
Thank
job.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Nope, absolutely. So,
That is
and now a little good news here.
good news.
Yes.
We don't accept bad news.
What about our signs, our speedo signs? Where are they?
Yeah, thanks.
They're right here. for the e-readers,
Oh,
digital.
okay.
With the transition from, we intermunicipal agreement
Yeah,
signed,
okay,
but then the transition occurred
okay,
and that's sort of on hold, but it's back, it needs to be done.
okay.
There are so many areas in this town. It is a frustrating topic, I will tell you, to figure out how to control speed in this town. It is so frustrating.
Yeah.
The north-south roads, all of them are just death traps. People get out here and they're leaving Manlius and they think it's like the country, and instead of going
This is great.
55, they go 70 or 80, and I didn't want to call them, but the motorcycles, I was gonna call them
Yes.
something else, are horrible. And every north-south road has those issues, and trying to figure out, it's drivers that how do you control
The digital
drivers?
signs definitely help.
Yeah, well, that's the point. It's just so frustrating.
Also, the Main Street program.
Yes,
We're just getting ready to start evaluating those right
okay,
right now. So
Very happy
by the
about
next
that.
meeting, we'll have some good news for you there.
that would be great. That would
Thanks,
really
Dave.
be good, because we have 5 businesses that are involved with that, so.
It's the same thing on Bush Road, 40 miles an hour,
Oh,
yeah.
now, did I call on you?
That's how we're having a community talk. Go ahead.
I'm joking.
That's all right.
No, but it is a problem. It's a problem all over in the rural area. The roads are really nice out here, especially since they've all been repaved.
Yeah, they're nice.
And
They
people are, I mean,
Good news.
it's terrible. Yeah, good news, bad.
Yeah.
Well, some of the drivers will pay attention to those readers, the ones that are sort of driving because they're distracted and they're not paying attention. I don't know if it's gonna help with the ones that just want to drive fast. And those are the ones that they're the hard group to figure out, so. Anyone else? Nobody else signed up for public comment here?
Deborah did.
Oh, Debbie,
Yes, I just wanted to ask on that
Debbie
topic.
Grenier, Cemetery Road.
Yes, on that topic, and I have another question too, but, was there like an enhanced sheriff protection that used to be in the
It
budget?
still is.
Oh, it's still in there.
Mhm.
We just, I just thought it was removed. I thought I heard it was removed or something.
No, it's just used differently than it used to be. Instead of having Ticket Tuesday where they set up at Pompey Hill and catch people going on, coming from the 55 into the 40, we've used it to have special details in trouble areas where speed and the local roads is an issue. Because it's easy to catch speeders on 20, but every road north and south in this town has speed, it has speeding issues.
So that's still in the budget.
It's still in the budget, we still use it. I work very closely with the sheriff's office because I email the liaison over there with the roads that are troubled areas. I've asked them to randomly patrol those roads so that there's the element of surprise, because if you know that they're sitting there, you'll slow down, but when they're there. But there's two problems with the special details right now. First of all, the cost keeps going up. It's $85 an hour, 4-hour minimum for to ask for one patrol out here. And we're doing at least we've been trying to do a couple a month. But the problem, Debbie, is that right now, the sheriff's office is short-staffed. So for September, I could not get a special detail because no one signed up for them. They have to sign up for them. It's not like they assign them out here. So the deputies have to sign up for them and they're not signing up for them. And I
Is
just,
the money getting used or is it?
it is getting used, but it's not getting used in September the way we wanted it, but it also covers the court. The court meets 4 times a month, and so they're here 4 times a month with, to be the bailiffs and the security for the court.
Did you know that they patrol us anyway without that in the budget? Were you aware of that? They do.
Yes.
That is, we are their territory. Just so that's clear.
I know there's not too many, like.
They're out here.
They're
you
out
know,
here.
I see them.
I do too on my road.
And they're around, but I just didn't know if you knew that this is their territory anyway. So they're out here no matter what. And if
The
you take a
enhanced- oh,
look,
go ahead.
if you take a look at last year's budget, you can see the difference. And then you can take a look at this year's budget and you'll see, you have to read through the budget and you'll find the line item in there. You could go back to, 4 years ago and see what's going on that line item.
So it's the same amount budgeted every year for the last.
No, it's not. So
They've gone up or down.
the line item, it's in the budget.
Has it gone up from last year? Or is it the same?
Yes, it went up 10% from last year.
There you go.
About 10%. And we're not getting as much as we used to get, because they don't come out. But it's going on.
Not getting
Are they-
as much
they're
as
not
we
out here
used
as
to
much because
get.
We don't have.
We're out here all the time. If we call them, if there's an issue, if you guys lived on Pompey Center Road for the last 2 years down here in the south, they're here all the time because if there's an issue, they come.
Okay. But
They've
those
been out
controls-
here, they've been in Fabius, they've been everywhere quite a
Yeah,
bit lately.
The problem is with the sheriffs and state police is that they go where the concentrated, they go to the areas of concentration where there's greater need and they prioritize. We don't have any control over how much routine patrol they assign out here because it's up to them to decide how much of a priority is needed when they have limited resources, their officers and where to send them. So it's a struggle.
Are we paying them though to have enhanced protection or? Yeah.
That $85 an hour for 4 hours a shot, yes, we are paying them.
So it mostly goes to like, when they come into for the courts. It's mostly where.
No, they come in for the courts, but they also come out. As I said, we've been asking them to come out twice a month to do random Watervale Road, Broadfield, Sweet, 91 coming down north, down that big hill. Even Berwyn has been a problem with the trucks going back and forth to do the paving in on Route 80. They've been just hauling. They're very fast. So all over the place. I've given them a laundry list and I said, you choose. Come here and do roads going north in the morning when people are going to work for the most part and are speeding north. And then have them come out here or in the evening during the week and have them come out and sit in the northern part of the town for people coming home at night going south. So it's a very,
They're being asked to come out.
yeah, and having a background in law enforcement, I am completely on this, completely. So but I'm also not gonna waste time with people sitting up on, Route 9 and just waiting for somebody to come through the 40-mile-an-hour zone. So we prioritize where we use the special details.
Everybody knows about Ticket Tuesday at the top of Pompey, so what's the point?
They come out on
Okay.
serious calls, they gauge them.
Yeah, on that topic, I've worked with the sheriff just on regular patrols, not the enhanced that you pay for. I've worked with the school district, the Fabius Poppies particularly, because we had some areas where people were passing stop school buses. So I had them come down and, obviously that takes care of itself very quickly when they're sitting there. So we've done that. Plus with, we've had some break-ins in the southern towns, unfortunately. And so I've talked with both the sheriff and the state troopers who had the barracks in Lafayette about being mindful of things down here, especially overnight, when a lot of that stuff's happening. And that's obviously no cost to the town. That's just, like you said, prioritizing where the problems are.
Oh, you had another question?
Yeah, I wanted to ask Tom, Sarkisian. Now, am I understand that the taxes are not going up, the town taxes are going up next year? Was that what you were
The
saying?
tax rate is the same, $2.66 per thousand.
Okay, yeah, because this year at 8.1%, went up a lot, so that was kind of a surprise.
I'm only speaking of the town taxes. There could be
Right.
changes in your fire or your special district
Right.
tax.
No, this was the town tax went up 8.1%, so I just wanted to make sure that I didn't have any other.
Well, this was the
surprises.
first year, Debbie, that this administration got to control the whole budget process, because last year we inherited a budget from the year before.
I
So
understand.
I don't know if you do, because, but anyway, I'm just saying, when you inherit a budget that you don't have any control over, and then you have to work with that budget for the next year. We inherited a deficit. So the fact that we turned it around, kudos to this board.
Now, is any of that stimulus COVID relief money, is that going to balancing this year's budget? Tom?
This year's,
Or, 2022,
oh,
I mean, next year.
There is some of the COVID relief money, that what's called the revenue recovery money, being used for one-time projects in the budget.
One-time projects?
Yes.
Okay, so that's like the HVAC, that sort of thing?
No, that's in this year's budget.
Oh, okay. So what specifically is the COVID stimulus money going towards?
can we wait till, I mean, you can ask, it's fine, but we're having a budget hearing coming up.
Oh,
No, but you know what? There is money being used this year. And we'd be foolish not to use it.
Oh, I know. I just wanted to know.
To not put it towards one-time items, that is exactly what it's intended to be used for, is one-time items, because we're not getting it again. It's only coming because of the COVID and the stimulus money. So we're being very, very discerning about how we use the money. So we're using the money this for next year. We're going to be able to replace the highway garage roof with some of the money. It's not all of it, some of it. Same with, what else?
I have the list.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just do it.
Go through it. It's fine.
So we're using some of it for a revale of the town. We have a very low equalization rate, which means that we would pay more for intertown things such as school taxes and county taxes. Because we're not at 100% like some of our surrounding areas. We're using some for the garage roof, for a new fuel monitoring system at the highway garage, entrance sign, a new pickup truck, and towards a portion of a new loader. Those are the items that we specifically used them for.
This town's infrastructure has been neglected for so long. And that be able to have money that we can use to get us out of the hole that we are in with infrastructure is huge. It's huge. And it will so see us through for the future, because we won't have those expenses, and we can start to plan for them when they do go beyond their useful life. I can't emphasize enough how beneficial this money is to the town, and how responsibly we are handling it. We had a budget, in July, we had a whole workshop on this issue specifically to go over how we would take all of the streams of revenue that we had available, including the county ARPA money that legislator Knapp just mentioned, which we applied for and got. I mean, we got that money, but we had so many different streams coming at us at once, including from the county, including the Main Street beautification money that we're waiting to hear about, that we felt obligated, that we needed to sit down and do a workshop, just like we did the budget workshop last Monday. So.
So you're saying that the infrastructure was bad before you came?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Would you support, has there been an audit or anything of?
Oh, Carl headed our building committee. We had a whole building committee. It was the codes officer, it was a planning board member, it was myself, and Carl. Who else was on that committee?
Who did the audit?
I did too.
We didn't do an audit. We did an inspection of the buildings to know.
Or an outside auditor coming in, like most government agencies do?
To do what?
Audits. Just audit everything, since if there was.
We're talking about, when I say infrastructure, just so you understand, we're talking about the furnaces, the buildings, the maintenance, the roofs, the equipment, the conditions in the highway garage. Those are things that you don't need an audit for. You need to walk around your property with people that know what they're looking at. Oh, that's who else it was. It was the highway superintendent that was on that committee. And assess what condition all of your facilities are in. And that's what we did that right off the bat. That was one of the first things we did. We had a committee. We literally walked around all these buildings, inspected the grounds. We determined what the needs were. We prioritized them. We put them in order of immediate, emergency, immediate, things that could wait a little bit, things that could wait a long time, and we tried to figure out how we were going to pay for them.
Carl did a very good job with
Yeah.
all of that and putting that forward to all of us as well.
Oh, when I worked at the county, we always had Cougars and library come in and audit. So I just wonder if there's something in place, an auditor that came in and audited individual towns, and in the interest of transparency, it might be a good idea.
We've been transparent, Debbie. If you haven't been at the meetings, we've talked about this at the meetings last year all the time.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's always good to
we're not a county. We don't need a
Oh, I know.
Coopers and
It's
library.
always good to have an unbiased set of eyes on, finances and things going
We
on.
do audits. And if you go back through over the years, there have been audits done on the court, the clerk,
And Renee.
Renee, supervisors, there's,
Who did it? Outside agencies or?
yeah, it's all in past.
me,
You'd have to
because
go
I've
through,
never done
I can't tell you all the dates, but there's been audits all the way through, at least in my 4 years. There, I can't tell you right now. I don't
We
remember.
used to always have Coopers. I don't even know who does it now. Who does it long time ago.
Yeah.
There haven't been,
I don't know.
I don't, I don't want to get into a whole discussion about audits because you might be talking about one thing and we're talking about something else.
Yeah.
We have rules to follow from the state, town law. And we have to
Yeah,
do.
just curious. I didn't know.
No, I'm just saying we have to do audits based on what the town laws require us to do. And I'm sure it's different at a county level. You have a much bigger governmental entity to oversee. Dave.
$1.3 billion.
Yeah, but I don't think we're quite there yet. So, I mean, our needs, it would be, in my opinion, not a good use of money to have an outside auditor come in for us to figure out what the needs are for these buildings here. We have plenty of people. Bob Rodriguez is sitting right back there. He's a building codes inspector. He knows buildings. And Tom Purcell at the time knew his highway garage, inside and out. So, and Carl's been here forever and he knows, I mean, there's just there was no need for that level of inspection of the town's facilities. We felt, I think Carl really comfortable
And I
doing
did
it.
it. I did it too with you.
Yeah, oh, that's
I
right.
did it too.
So it's not a bad idea, but I don't think it's
That's what we
necessary at this level in this town. Maybe if we had the facility like Lafayette has, we maybe, but we don't.
Well, I know you were mentioning something about like disposing of just old computer equipment and stuff that you want to get rid of. And I just wondered if, somebody comes and oversees that, like an outside,
Well, it's never been done in the past, Debbie, and we've just put together a disposition of property policy that will cover that. And right now, everything is stored because we're not touching it, because we're not gonna let happen to anybody here what happened to Ann and be accused of doing something that she had no policy to follow. So we're putting a policy in place and we're gonna follow it. And it's going to include a policy on how to handle all of our equipment that has town data on it. And it's going to our independent IT company. They will make sure that everything is stored on our server, which again, we're not backed up in the day and now they are, all things. And then the property that they were on will be disposed of once we're told it's wiped clean and it's whether it's obsolete, it can be repurposed, whatever. But that's all in this disposition of property policy that this town has never had, never until now.
and who's the IT company?
Net manage it.
They were hired, December, January. We did a lot of work and research and
Sheila was a great help in that.
yeah, we did 3 interviews, different companies, followed the 3 quota, and Dan was chosen by all of us. And he has done a complete overhaul on everything here. And he actually, if you go through the minutes, you can read, and he's also put together everything that he did and what was not here at the time for our constituents, for all the people, and not available. So he completely did a complete overhaul on all the IT. And now we have a backup for everything, and he's done a great job.
Town
Yeah,
data has never been more secure than it is right now.
that is correct.
There's, I can't read the name. Linda, is it?
Linda.
Linda Hurley. I'm sorry.
So first of all, I want to congratulate BR on his appointment to Highway Superintendent. I've never heard you called Bruce in my life. In parentheses on your nameplate. Secondly, this is a statement. This is not a question. This is my opinion. I think the continuing commentary from this board on the previous administration and what they did and didn't do is becoming quite redundant. Every meeting you have, you feel the need to say, oh, it's not us, it's the previous administration. How many people up there have worked for this town during the previous administrations in one capacity or another? Renee, you were a board member at one point.
12
So
years
this
ago.
I didn't ask you for your opinion. This is a comment. Yeah, well, I think it's unnecessary. And it just goes on and on and on, like you're all totally blameless of anything. Okay, so there's my comment. My question for this board is, what happened with the code enforcement gentleman that you hired? You were all fawning over him. His reports were so great. Oh, this is just wonderful. What happened? You are so transparent. Let's hear what happened.
Can I say something?
Please do.
Please don't say this entire board.
You're on it.
But you know what? I've never once spoken ill.
This isn't
Or
a
said
question,
any-
Sheila. I'm asking about the code
I
enforcement
know, but
officer now.
just,
This is
I'm just
not-
gonna clarify your statement. I've never once said anything about any prior administration.
Well, your leader does, every meeting.
So I guess when you're talking, I just want to clarify.
Okay.
I'm good and kind, and I don't say anything unkind.
That's fine.
Thank
That's
you.
fine. You're welcome. But it goes on this board every month, not by you. So my
The answer
question-
to your question, Linda Hurley from Waterville Road, is
Yes.
that it's a personnel issue. It's private, and that's the end of it.
And if the community accepts that, good for them, because I think there's more to it. I applaud Mr. Rodriguez for coming back to this job. I'm not sure why he did.
I have a commitment to this community.
Well, I have a commitment to this community too. I was born and raised here. So everybody here has a commitment to this community. I'm just saying, all of a sudden, this other gentleman's gone. He was a hero. He was gonna save this town on code enforcement. What happened?
Who said that? Who said
So you
that?
all gave that impression, oh, this is the best report I've ever seen.
We did.
This is so wonderful. This is this and that. And here we are, what, 6 weeks later, he's gone.
If I'm not mistaken, he resigned.
I don't know what he did.
Well, he did resign.
Well, that's good because that is his prerogative.
Of course it is. And that's where we stand tonight. He resigned and they filled the position with Mr. Rodriguez. And fortunately, we have
Returned
Mr.
to the
Rodriguez.
job.
Yes, fortunately, he agreed to come back.
Well, I'm happy for that.
Good. And this is, we should also recognize this is a public comment period. It's not a question period. So it's for the public to comment, make comments to the board. If the board determines that they want to respond to a question, I mean, it's unfair to ask a question sometimes when we haven't been prepared to answer that question. But the fact of the matter is, the previous code enforcement officer has resigned. that position has been refilled. I don't, there's no other name on.
I'd like to ask a question. I'm sorry, I didn't know I was supposed to put my name on. Tom Chartrand.
Could you state your name and
Yes,
your
I'm sorry.
address,
My name is
please?
Caroline Porto. I live on Pompey Center Road. Tom, a question that we spoke about last week at the budget meeting. We were talking about school taxes. And we were saying because we pay a lower equalization rate, that the schools, let me get this right, are you saying that we pay lower? My children went to Fayetteville Manly's because I live in Pompey, I'm paying a lower rate for them to go.
Not necessarily. When one community has an equalization rate of 100% and another one has an equalization rate of 89%, they take the property values, divide them by 89% to bring that property value up to 100%.
Correct, because I own property in Fayetteville and Manlius and in Pompey. And my Pompey school taxes, I pay more here. My rate is higher here to go to Fayetteville Manlius schools than my properties in Manlius to go to Manlius schools. So they make up for that 100%.
Yep, it's all part of the equalization.
Correct. So even though we're lower, we're 89%, my rate bumps up for the schools. They're not missing any money for me. I'm caught up with that. Okay, I misunderstood you at last meeting. It was like we're paying less to go, like FM schools isn't getting the same amount of money.
No, that's what the equalization rate is there for,
Correct.
to hopefully bring it up. But if your overall, your equalization rate is not at 100%, all of the properties haven't been equalized across the town. So there may be some properties that haven't been sold in a very long time and haven't been brought up to the proper property value. Those people will be paying less for their taxes and equalization than maybe somebody whose house is very close to the 100%.
Because my rate here is, like I said, is higher than living in Manlius, going to the same school.
Yeah, it would have to be.
That's because we're at 89%. If it was 100%, it would,
The tax rate would be
Spread
the
out.
same no matter which
It's still,
community we're in.
what I'm trying to say is it bumps up to the same. Okay, I talked to Fayetteville Manlius and they explained that to me. So I am paying the same as the property is the same. And Renee, may I have a question for you?
no
Yeah.
questions, public comment,
Okay,
apparently.
public comment.
I guess I didn't really think
You and
about
I
it.
stood in front of the conservative board. You said in front of,
If this is politics, we're not going there.
it's not, it was just answered something.
Oh, I thought you were talking, if you're
No,
talking
no.
about that, that's
I just,
politics.
no. It's just a question that you had stated that we used to pay $45,000 for enhanced police protection, that you were proud that you didn't do that anymore. You took that out of the budget. I want to know, are we still paying 45% or am I getting this right? You pay $85 when you need the police, the protection? This is how I'm reading this, because at the conservative meeting, you specifically had stated you took the $45,000 that we paid. It's in the minutes. You took that
I
out.
haven't seen the minutes because I was never given the consideration of even a phone call about
Which
that.
you were there.
I will tell you one thing, Caroline, I'm not gonna base what I said there on your recall of it, but I will tell you, it was $45,000. It was an enormous amount of money. It was a waste of money, and go take that and use it, but it was a waste.
Thank you.
No,
Well, thank you. I thank you for that. I just wanted to.
it was a waste. Do you even care
I
why?
got in a bad accident on September 29th, almost lost my grandson in the car
Mhm.
wreck. It took forever for a state trooper to show
But that has nothing to do with the amount of, oh my goodness, you don't understand. That has nothing to do, the 911 gets called for that and they respond as fast as they can. The town has nothing to do with routine law enforcement coverage. That we have nothing to do with it. And enhanced services would not have changed a thing. And but I'm,
So are you saying that you think that they didn't come out here because we didn't have a $45,000 budget?
I have spoke to many sheriffs. Okay, a tree fell down at a property that we own. and they explained the situation, okay? I just wanted to make it clear, and she explained what she said, $45,000 was an enormous amount of money to spend for the enhanced program.
Do you want to know how many people out here do not like that we have to pay extra to have law enforcement here when they should be out here anyway? So you might not like that we don't spend 45,000, which had to be added, by the way, it was $35,000. The prior, sorry, but it's true, administration, 10,000, they added $10,000 at the end of the year because they were over budget. You have to, if you have a budget, you got to pay attention to it. They added money to that budget. But I'm just saying, there's people out here that do not like that we have an enhanced services contract. I like the contract. I use it. There is nothing about the way we use it that is jeopardizing the public, and I stand for it. I've worked in law enforcement my entire career. I stand by that.
Okay, so it's not 45,000 anymore.
Today?
Yeah.
No,
No. Okay.
no.
But I would hope that what you just implied is not factual, because I know so many sheriffs that are good friends of mine. And I think that they would be sad that you just implied that they didn't come out here because our budget changed.
Excuse me,
Is that what-
never, you're saying I.
You just said that your grandson,
It took, I made a statement, it took forever for someone to come out. When the last administration was, I had the enhanced, my husband's car got robbed. They were there in a matter of, I would say, 10 minutes.
That has nothing to do with the enhanced services.
I never see a sheriff going up Pompey Center Road ever now. I've been here over 30 years. I don't see them, and I asked them why. They said, we used to get paid to patrol.
You know what, Carolyn, I will bring my liaison from the sheriff's department here next board meeting, and you can hear from them how it works, because you don't understand how it works. Has nothing to do with our enhanced contract, nothing. Is there any public comment on Zoom? I would make a motion, I
make a motion, we
the motion
adjourn.
to dismiss.
I just wanted to clarify, Sheila, you posted on Facebook something about absentee ballots being filled out, being sent out.
That is a political,
Well, they weren't filled out.
we're not going there,
They were
because a
just-
lot of what is going on right
I
now
just want to address this.
with a month left is obvious. It's obvious. So we're going to make a motion
Make a
to,
motion adjourn.
second, all those in favor? Aye, opposed, motion carried, done. We are transparent. You don't like everything you like, everything you
We're all done?
We are standing.
I'm the VR. I got some bad news. I seen the woolly caterpillar. And it was all black.
I'm sorry.
You got a
to say
rough,
no,
you're.
I wish